Welcome to this quiet place. Today, we will spend a gentle day in ancient Greece. Moving slowly through its streets, its shores, and its nights. There is nothing you need to do, and nowhere you need to go. Just listen and let the past unfold quietly. Before the sun appears, the Greek coastal town is already awake in its own quiet way. Not with voices or footsteps, but with light. The horizon begins to soften. Dark blue fades slowly into pale gray, then into a gentle wash of silver. The sea lies almost perfectly still, as if holding its breath. Only the smallest ripples move across its surface, reflecting the first hints of morning light. Stone houses line the slope above the harbor. They are simple structures, built from pale limestone and sun-bleached wood. Their walls carry the memory of many summers and many winters. Salt from the sea has settled into their cracks, softening sharp edges over time. Flat roofs and small balconies face the water. Clay jars rest quietly against walls. Fishing nets hang from wooden beams, heavy with the smell of yesterday's catch. Nothing moves yet, but nothing feels abandoned. As the light grows stronger, the town begins to reveal its details. A narrow street curves gently between houses. Its stones are smooth from generations of bare feet and leather sandals. The street slopes downward, guiding the eye toward the harbor below. In the distance, a single fishing boat drifts slowly, pulled by a tide that barely seems to exist. Its sail hangs loose, pale against the sky. The boat does not hurry. There is no reason to hurry at dawn. Above the town, olive trees stretch their twisted branches toward the light. Their leaves catch the early sun, flashing silver and green with each small movement of air. These trees have stood here for longer than anyone remembers. They have seen empires rise and fade, yet they remain. The scent of the morning is clean and familiar. Salt, stone, olive oil, and distant smoke from a hearth just beginning to warm. It is the smell of a place that knows its rhythm. A door opens quietly somewhere in the town. Not suddenly, not loudly. Just enough to let the cool air inside. A woman steps out, wrapping a simple shawl around her shoulders. As the sun climbs higher, the town begins to wake, gently, without command. Life does not arrive all at once. It unfolds. Shadows retreat from doorways. Walls that were cool and grey now glow faintly with warmth. The stone absorbs the sun, holding it close, preparing for the long hours ahead. A fisherman walks down toward the harbor. His sandals make soft sounds against the stones. He carries no heavy tools yet, only a coil of rope over his shoulder. The sea will decide the pace of his work today, as it always does. Near the water, boats are tied loosely to wooden posts. Their hulls creak quietly as they shift with the tide. Some have been painted with faded symbols, eyes to watch the waves, lines meant to bring luck. Time has softened these markings, but their meaning remains. The fisherman unties one boat and pushes it gently away from the dock. The oars dip into the water without a splash. There is no struggle, no tension. The sea accepts him easily. Above, in the town, other signs of life appear. A child steps outside, barefoot, carrying a clay cup. He looks toward the harbor, shielding his eyes from the sun. The day feels new to him, full of quiet possibilities. A baker lifts a wooden shutter, releasing the warm scent of bread into the street. The smell moves slowly, curling through the air, settling into corners and doorways. It is a familiar promise, the day will be fed. Goats bleat softly from a small enclosure near the edge of town. Their bells make gentle, uneven sounds as they shift and stretch. A shepherd answers them with a low voice, calm and unhurried. In ancient Greece, morning is not rushed by clocks. It is shaped by light, by hunger, by habit. People move when it feels right to move. At a small shrine near the road, a man places a few olive leaves on a stone altar. He does not speak loudly. There is no need. The gods, he believes, are already awake. The air warms gradually. The sun now shines clearly over the coastal town, casting defined shadows across walls and streets. The morning has fully arrived, but the calm remains. Work begins, yet it does not feel heavy. It flows naturally from the quiet of dawn. Near the harbor, fishermen return with modest catches. They lift baskets filled with silver fish, their scales flashing briefly in the sunlight. There is satisfaction in this work, not excitement. The sea has given what it chose to give. Fish are cleaned near the water's edge. Knives move steadily, efficiently. The rhythm is familiar, almost meditative. The sound of waves fills the spaces between movements. In the town, looms begin to click softly. A woman works wool into cloth, her hands moving with practiced ease. She does not rush. She knows how long this task takes. Nearby, an older man repairs a cracked amphora using resin and cloth. He hums quietly, a tune without words. The jar has served many meals, it deserves patience. Sunlight pours into the narrow streets now, illuminating dust motes drifting lazily in the air. The heat has not yet grown strong. This is the most comfortable hour of the day. In a shaded courtyard, a group of men sit on low stone benches. They speak quietly, discussing the coming market day, the condition of the road to the next town, the weather. No one raises their voice. There is no argument, only exchange. Ancient Greek life, at least here by the sea, is built around balance. Work and rest, sun and shade, speech and silence. A cat stretches in the warmth, then settles again, perfectly content. Somewhere, a flute plays a few simple notes, not a performance, just a moment of sound. It fades quickly, leaving no trace. The smell of cooked grain and herbs drifts through the streets. Midday will come later, bringing heat and stillness. For now, the town exists in a gentle flow of effort and ease. Nothing here feels urgent. Nothing feels empty. As the final part of dawn settles into early morning, the sea remains the heart of the town. It reflects the sun fully now, bright but not harsh. The water moves slowly, breathing in and out against the shore. Those who have finished their early tasks pause. They sit where there is shade, where the breeze reaches them. They look toward the horizon, letting their thoughts drift. In ancient Greece, the sea is not just a resource. It is a presence, a companion that shapes time itself. A young boy stands at the edge of the dock, watching the water carefully. He drops a small stone and waits for the ripples to disappear. He does this again and again, learning patience without knowing it. Above the town, the hills glow softly in the sunlight. Paths wind upward through dry grass and scattered wildflowers. Goats move slowly along them, bells echoing faintly. The town breathes. Not loudly. Not deeply. Just enough. This is dawn in a Greek coastal town. Not a moment that ends, but one that gently transforms into morning. A beginning without sharp edges. The day will grow warmer. Voices will rise and fall. Shadows will shorten, then lengthen again. But for now, everything remains calm. Balanced. The morning light reaches the agora slowly. Before voices fill the space, before footsteps echo between columns, the agora exists in a moment of calm anticipation. It is open, wide, and still. Stone columns rise quietly from the ground, pale and cool in the early air. They cast long, soft shadows across the square, stretching toward one another like hands that almost touch. The marble beneath them holds the memory of yesterday's sun, now slowly releasing its warmth. The agora is not yet a place of noise. It is a place of waiting. Shops remain closed, their wooden shutters resting against stone walls. Bronze hinges catch the light briefly, then fade back into shadow. Clay amphorae stand neatly beside doorways, empty for now, patient. A single man crosses the square. His steps are unhurried. He carries a bundle of folded cloth beneath his arm. The sound of his sandals against the stone is soft, rhythmic, unintrusive. Above the agora, the sky is pale and wide. The sun has climbed above the rooftops, but it does not yet press down. This is the gentlest hour. Birds move between columns, hopping and fluttering. They do not fear the open space. To them, the agora is just another place where stone meets air. At the edge of the square, a fountain trickles quietly. Water moves over carved stone, smooth from years of touch. The sound is steady, calming, familiar. In ancient Greece, the agora is the heart of the city. But in this moment, it beats slowly. A woman arrives carrying a basket of figs. She sets it down carefully beneath the shade of a column. She adjusts the cloth covering the fruit, then steps back to wait. There is no rush. Customers will come when the sun rises higher. Nearby, an older man sweeps the stone floor with a simple broom made of reeds. Dust lifts briefly, then settles again. His movements are slow, deliberate. This task is not about speed. It is about care. The Agora breathes in the morning air. It is awake, but not yet alive with sound. As the sun climbs, the Agora begins to change, not suddenly, but naturally. Wooden shutters open one by one. Each movement adds a small sound to the square, the creak of wood, the soft thud of a latch, the slide of fabric. None of it feels loud. Merchants arrive carrying baskets, crates, and jars. They greet one another with nods and brief words. These are people who see each other every day. No introductions are needed. A man arranges olives in shallow bowls, their skins dark and shining. He places them carefully, creating small piles that feel balanced and complete. Next to him, another merchant sets out rounds of bread, still warm from the oven. The smells begin to mix. Olive oil, fresh grain, dried herbs tied with string. The air grows richer, heavier, more alive. A potter places newly fired cups on a wooden table. Their surfaces are uneven, marked by hands rather than tools. Each one is slightly different. Each one is enough. Customers arrive slowly. A woman examines figs, pressing them gently with her thumb. A man lifts a loaf of bread, testing its weight. There is no urgency. No competition. Children follow behind their parents, eyes wandering. They watch pigeons gather near scattered crumbs. They trace patterns in the dust with their toes. Near the center of the Agora, two men speak quietly. Their conversation drifts like smoke, present, then gone. They talk of weather, of the sea, of nothing important. In ancient Greece, not every moment in the Agora is filled with debate or politics. Most mornings are simple, human, ordinary. A woman pours water into clay cups for passers-by. The water is cool, drawn from a well before sunrise. People accept it with quiet thanks. The square fills, but it does not overwhelm. Movement remains gentle. Voices remain low. The Agora has found its morning rhythm. By mid-morning, the Agora is fully awake. Sunlight pours down between columns now, illuminating faces, hands, goods. Shadows shorten. Stone warms. Merchants continue their work, adjusting displays, answering questions, measuring grain with practiced motions. Nothing here feels hurried. Time moves at a human pace. A man repairs a leather sandal while seated on a low stool. He works quietly, needle passing through worn leather again and again. Each stitch restores something useful. Each stitch matters. Nearby, a woman weighs herbs on a simple scale. The balance sways slightly, then settles. She nods, satisfied. Voices rise and fall, but never clash. Laughter appears briefly, then fades. Disagreements are rare and small. An elderly man rests beneath a column, leaning on his staff. He watches the movement of the square without judgment. He has seen many mornings like this. Each one feels familiar, yet new. The fountain continues its steady song. Water catches the light, scattering it into small reflections that dance across the stone. Some people come only to sit. They bring no goods, seek no trade. They simply exist in the shared space, part of the flow. In ancient Greece, the agora is more than a market. It is a place where life is visible, where nothing is hidden. As the sun climbs higher, the heat grows stronger. People begin to seek shade more often. Conversations shorten. Movement slow. The square adjusts naturally, responding to the day. As late morning approaches, the agora begins to soften again. Some merchants pack away goods that have already been sold. Others sit back, content with what the morning has brought. The pace eases. The sun now stands higher in the sky, bright and steady. Stone reflects its light, filling the square with warmth. The air feels heavier, thicker. People linger beneath colonnades, leaning against cool stone. They drink water. They rest. A breeze passes through the agora, carrying the distant scent of the sea. For a moment, everyone pauses, not together, but in harmony. Children grow quieter, drawn toward the edges of the square. Older voices fade into murmurs. The agora does not end its activity. It simply changes its tone. Soon, midday will arrive. Shutters will close again. The square will wait once more. But for now, the agora holds the morning gently. A place of balance, of shared time, of calm presence. By the time the sun reaches its highest point, the coastal town has changed its rhythm. The light no longer arrives gently. It stands firm, bright, and steady above the white stone streets. Shadows shorten until they cling closely to walls and columns, offering only thin lines of relief. The streets are quiet now. Not empty, but resting. White stone reflects the sunlight back into the air, filling the town with warmth. The stones beneath bare feet and leather sandals feel hot to the touch. Every surface holds the sun. This is the hour when movement slows naturally. Not because anyone commands it, but because the body understands. In ancient Greece, midday is not a time for effort. It is a time for endurance, for patience, for stillness. Shutters are closed across doorways, their wood pale and weathered. Inside, rooms fall into soft darkness. Cool air lingers behind thick stone walls. A narrow street curves upward between houses, glowing almost white in the sun. No voices echo here now. Only the faint sound of the sea reaches this far, softened by distance. A man walks slowly along the street, carrying an empty clay jar. He keeps close to the wall, stepping carefully from one thin shadow to another. His face is calm, accustomed to this heat. Above him, cloth awnings stretch between buildings, offering small islands of shade. They flutter slightly in the breeze, casting moving patterns on the stone below. The breeze is gentle, barely strong enough to lift dust from the ground. But it is enough. Enough to remind the town that the sea is nearby. In a doorway, an elderly woman sits on a low stool. She does not work. She watches the light shift slowly across the street. Her breathing is steady, unhurried. Time feels different at midday. It does not rush forward. It spreads out, wide and slow. Somewhere behind closed walls, a child sleeps. Elsewhere, a pot of lentils simmers quietly, watched without urgency. The streets belong to the sun now. As the sun remains high, the town settles deeper into stillness. This is not the stillness of abandonment, but of intention. Life has not stopped, it has simply moved inward. Behind thick white stone walls, the air is cooler. Light enters only in narrow bands through small openings, touching floors and then slipping away. Rooms feel calm, protected from the brightness outside. In one house near the slope leading down to the sea, a family rests in silence. The midday meal has already been eaten. Bowls sit empty, cleaned with care, stacked neatly against the wall. No one speaks now. Words feel unnecessary in this heat. A man lies on a woven mat, his arm resting across his chest. His breathing is slow and even. Sleep comes easily at this hour. Nearby, a young woman sits close to the doorway, where a thin line of shade reaches the floor. She works carefully with thread and cloth, her hands moving with practiced calm. She does not rush. There is no reason to. Outside, the white stone streets shimmer faintly. Heat rises from the ground in gentle waves, blurring the edges of walls and steps. The town appears almost dreamlike, as if seen through memory rather than sight. Footsteps are rare. When they do appear, they are slow and measured. A figure passes through the street carrying a small basket of figs. He keeps his head lowered, shielding his eyes from the sun. The figs are warm from the air, their scent faint but sweet. At the corner of the street, an olive tree offers a small pool of shade. Its leaves rustle softly in the breeze, silver-green against the bright sky. Two men sit beneath it, leaning against the trunk. They do not speak. They listen. Somewhere nearby, the sound of water echoes faintly, a fountain flowing steadily, untouched by the heat. Its rhythm is constant, reassuring. In ancient Greece, midday is understood. It is not fought against. People have learned to move with the sun, not against it. They wake early. The sun remains overhead, steady and unyielding, yet the town does not resist it. Instead, the town exists beneath the light, shaped by it. White stone walls stand firm, absorbing heat through the long hours. Their surfaces are smooth in some places, rough in others, marked by time and weather. Tiny cracks hold dust and memory. The streets feel older at midday. Without movement and noise, their age becomes more visible. Stone steps leading up to doorways glow softly, almost golden. A shallow groove worn into the center of a street shows where feet and carts have passed for centuries. No one crosses it now. Silence stretches, but it is never complete. Somewhere, a door creaks open slowly. A woman steps outside, shielding her eyes with her hand. She carries a clay jug and moves carefully, aware of the heat beneath her feet. Her sandals leave faint marks in the dust. They fade quickly. She walks toward a public fountain at the end of the street. The water there flows steadily, drawn from a hidden source beneath the town. It has flowed like this long before this day, and it will continue long after. She fills the jug without hurry. Each movement is deliberate. The sound of water spilling over stone echoes softly between the walls. For a moment, she stands still, listening. The sound feels cooler than the air. As she returns, she pauses beneath a small archway where shade gathers. Here, the stone is darker, cooler to the touch. She rests her hand against it briefly, then continues on. Elsewhere, high above the streets, rooftops reflect the sun. Clay tiles lie in neat patterns, some cracked, some replaced. Lizards dart quickly from one shaded edge to another, disappearing as soon as they appear. From a distance, the town looks almost still enough to be carved from stone itself. Yet life continues quietly. In an upper room overlooking the harbor, a fisherman repairs his net. The open window allows a slow breeze to enter. Almost without notice, the light begins to change. The sun still stands high, but its intensity eases slightly. The air remains warm, yet something shifts within it. The heat no longer presses down with the same weight. White stone streets release the warmth they have been holding all day. It rises slowly, drifting upward like a breath. Shadows begin to lengthen, stretching gently along walls and across doorways. They are thin at first, barely noticeable. But they promise movement. In the quiet town, this change is felt before it is seen. Behind closed shutters, eyes open. Bodies stir. A man lifts himself from his resting place, sitting upright for a moment before standing. He stretches carefully, listening to his body. The heat has softened enough now. In another house, a woman opens a wooden shutter slightly, allowing light to spill into the room. Dust particles drift through the air, glowing softly. She breathes in, sensing the shift. Outside, the cicadas continue their song, but it feels less intense now, less insistent. The sound blends with the breeze rather than overpowering it. A door opens. Then another. Footsteps return to the streets, light and unhurried. A young man steps out carrying a bundle of tools. He pauses briefly, adjusting his grip, then moves toward the edge of town. Work will resume soon, but not all at once. The town awakens slowly, respecting the heat even as it loosens its hold. Near the agora, canvas coverings are lifted and secured once more. Merchants move deliberately, setting out goods without calling attention. There is no rush to reclaim the day. Conversation returns in fragments. Short exchanges. Quiet laughter. Stone benches that were too warm earlier are now bearable. People sit, resting their hands on the surface, feeling the lingering heat beneath their palms. The white stone streets look different now. They hold more contrast. Edges sharpen as shadows grow deeper. Light no longer flattens the town. As the afternoon begins, the town slowly reawakens from its midday stillness. The sun has shifted just enough to soften its grip. Heat remains, but it no longer dominates every movement. Instead, it lingers gently, like warmth left in stone after a long embrace. White stone streets feel different now beneath bare feet and worn sandals. They are still warm, but forgiving. Each step feels possible again. Shadows stretch longer across walls and doorways, offering places to pause. People move instinctively toward them, guided by habit rather than thought. Afternoon in ancient Greece is not a sudden return to labor. It is a gradual unfolding. In a small workshop near the edge of town, a craftsman lifts his tools from where they rested during the heat. Bronze chisels, smooth from years of use, catch the light briefly before settling back into shadow. He does not rush. There is no urgency in his movements. The stone block before him waits patiently. It has waited all day. It can wait a little longer. Nearby, the scent of wood drifts from another workshop. A carpenter shapes a beam slowly, shaving thin curls that fall silently to the floor. Each stroke is measured, practiced, calm. Afternoon craft work is quieter than the morning. Hands move more slowly. Mistakes are less likely. In the courtyards between houses, women return to their looms. Threads stretch tight across wooden frames, catching the light. Fingers guide them carefully, weaving patterns learned long ago. The rhythm of weaving fills the air softly, not a sound, but a presence. A young girl sits nearby, watching. She does not yet work. She learns by observing. In ancient Greece, craft is not separated from daily life. It lives alongside rest, conversation, and silence. At a shaded doorway, an old man repairs a clay vessel cracked at the rim. He applies resin carefully, smoothing it with his thumb. The pot will never be perfect again, but it will be useful. Use matters more than perfection. As the afternoon settles more firmly into place, work resumes with a different spirit. This is not the sharp, purposeful labor of the morning. Nor is it the complete stillness of midday. It is something in between, measured, calm, and deeply familiar. Hands move again across wood, clay, and thread, guided more by memory than intention. In a shaded workshop near the town wall, a metalworker heats a small piece of bronze. The fire is modest, controlled carefully so it does not fight the warmth already present in the air. He watches the metal closely, waiting for the exact moment to shape it. Timing matters more than strength. When he lifts the bronze, he does so gently, turning it slowly, listening to the sound it makes as it cools. Each ring of metal tells him something. He understands without words. Nearby, a young apprentice watches in silence. He has learned that questions are better saved for later. Observation teaches more at this hour. The smell of warm metal mixes with the scent of dust and stone, forming an aroma that belongs only to this place and time. It is the smell of continuity. Across the street, in a room open to the courtyard, a woman grinds grain with steady patience. The stone tool moves in slow circles, pressing and turning. Her arms work, but her face remains relaxed. This work does not demand speed, only consistency. Sunlight filters through hanging cloth above the courtyard, breaking into soft patterns on the floor. The shadows shift slowly as the afternoon progresses, marking time without announcing it. In ancient Greece, the day is not divided by hours, but by feeling. Children pass through the courtyard carrying a basket of figs. They move carefully, having learned to avoid sudden noise. One of them pauses, watching the woman at work, then continues on. Learning happens everywhere. In another part of town, a man repairs sandals. Leather straps lie across his knees, darkened by use. As the afternoon continues, the town settles into a rhythm shaped by quiet exchange. This is the hour when learning happens without instruction. When repair becomes an act of care, and when knowledge moves gently from one person to another. In a shaded corner of the town, a boy sits beside his father, watching closely. Between them lies a small wooden object, cracked along one edge. The father does not speak at first. He places the object in the boy's hands, guiding his fingers to the damaged place. The lesson begins without words. Repair, in ancient Greece, is not only about fixing what is broken. It is about understanding why it broke. The boy listens with his hands. He feels the weakness in the wood, the place where time and use have worn it thin. Slowly, carefully, he learns. Nearby, another pair works together, a woman and her elderly mother mending a garment. The fabric is old but clean, softened by many washings. Needle and thread move through it with ease. They speak quietly as they work. Their conversation flows between memory and the present, weaving the two together as naturally as the cloth beneath their hands. Stories surface gently in the afternoon. Not the dramatic tales of heroes and gods, but smaller ones. Of seasons past. Of long summers. Of lessons learned slowly. These stories do not demand attention. They simply exist, waiting to be heard. In a workshop near the Agora, a young man practices shaping clay under the watchful eye of his mentor. The wheel turns slowly. Too fast, and the clay would collapse. The mentor watches more than he speaks. When he does speak, his words are few and precise. Slower. Feel the center. Let it rise. The clay responds. Mistakes are allowed here. They are expected. Afternoon is forgiving. Outside, in a sun-dappled courtyard, a group of women prepare fibers for weaving. They comb wool carefully, separating and smoothing it. The motion is repetitive, calming. Almost without notice, the light begins to change. The sun still stands high, but its intensity eases slightly. The air remains warm, yet something shifts within it. The heat no longer presses down with the same weight. White stone streets release the warmth they have been holding all day. It rises slowly, drifting upward like a breath. Shadows begin to lengthen, stretching gently along walls and across doorways. They are thin at first, barely noticeable. But they promise movement. In the quiet town, this change is felt before it is seen. Behind closed shutters, eyes open. Bodies stir. A man lifts himself from his resting place, sitting upright for a moment before standing. He stretches carefully, listening to his body. The heat has softened enough now. In another house, a woman opens a wooden shutter slightly, allowing light to spill into the room. Dust particles drift through the air, glowing softly. She breathes in, sensing the shift. Outside, the cicadas continue their song, but it feels less intense now, less insistent. The sound blends with the breeze rather than overpowering it. A door opens. Then another. Footsteps return to the streets, light and unhurried. A young man steps out carrying a bundle of tools. He pauses briefly, adjusting his grip, then moves toward the edge of town. Work will resume soon, but not all at once. The town awakens slowly, respecting the heat even as it loosens its hold. Near the agora, canvas coverings are lifted and secured once more. Merchants move deliberately, setting out goods without calling attention. There is no rush to reclaim the day. Conversation returns in fragments. Short exchanges. Quiet laughter. Stone benches that were too warm earlier are now bearable. People sit, resting their hands on the surface, feeling the lingering heat beneath their palms. The white stone streets look different now. They hold more contrast. Edges sharpen as shadows grow deeper. Light no longer flattens the town. The sun begins its slow descent toward the Aegean Sea, casting long bands of gold and copper across the water. In ancient Greece, evening does not arrive suddenly. It unfolds gently, moment by moment, breath by breath. Along the coastline, the heat of the day finally loosens its grip on the land. Stone walls that have absorbed sunlight since morning begin to cool. The air softens. Shadows stretch and lengthen, touching doorways, olive trees, and narrow paths that wind toward the shore. Small fishing boats drift closer to land. Their sails hang loose now, no longer full with wind, moving only slightly as the sea breathes beneath them. The water is calm, broken only by slow ripples and the quiet sound of oars dipping in unison. Fishermen guide their boats home with practiced ease. These men have followed the rhythm of the sea since childhood. Their movements are unhurried, economical, shaped by years of repetition. Nets rest heavy at the bottom of the boats, smelling of salt and sun. On the shore, smooth stones still hold warmth beneath bare feet. Children wander close to the water's edge, tracing shapes in the sand with sticks, watching small crabs retreat into shadows. Their laughter is soft now, subdued by the coming evening. Behind them, the village begins to slow. Clay lamps are prepared inside modest homes. Olive oil is poured carefully, wicks trimmed. Doors remain open to welcome the breeze from the sea. Curtains made of light fabric stir gently, carrying the scent of salt, herbs, and distant smoke from cooking fires. The sky shifts from bright blue to pale amber. Clouds thin and stretch, brushed lightly across the horizon like fading paint. Seabirds circle once more before settling on rocks and rooftops, folding their wings for the night. Time feels different here. Evening is not something to rush through. It is something to enter quietly. As the sun nears the water, reflections shimmer across the waves, breaking and reforming endlessly. As daylight fades, the village breathes more slowly. Men return from the fields beyond the hills, their sandals coated in dust, their tunics marked by the labor of the day. They greet one another with quiet nods, exchanging few words. Much has already been said by the work itself. Women finish preparing the evening meal. Simple ingredients fill clay bowls: olives, barley bread, figs, goat cheese. The scent of roasted fish drifts through narrow streets, carried by the cooling air. Families gather close to their doorways. Some sit on low stools, others on smooth stones warmed by the day. Children lean against their parents, drowsy now, listening without fully understanding as stories are told again and again. These stories are not meant to impress. They are meant to connect. Tales of the sea, of journeys long past, of storms survived and harbors reached. Stories of gods and heroes exist, but tonight they are distant. The focus is on small victories, safe returns, full nets, a peaceful sky. Down by the shore, fishermen rinse their nets in shallow water. Salt crystals sparkle briefly in the fading light before dissolving. The repetitive motion is soothing: lift, rinse, shake, repeat. There is no hurry. Tomorrow will come when it comes. The soundscape of the village changes. Daytime activity gives way to subtle noises: the crackle of firewood, the clink of pottery, the rhythmic chirping of insects hidden among grasses and stone walls. Waves lap against the shore in a steady, unchanging rhythm, older than memory. Some villagers walk slowly along the beach, hands clasped behind their backs. They stop often, gazing out across the water, where the horizon now glows faintly, holding the last light of the sun. The sea is not empty to them. It is a presence, a companion, a teacher. As twilight deepens, lamps flicker to life one by one, creating small islands of warm light against the darkening blue. Shadows dance gently on walls. The sun has now slipped below the horizon. What remains is afterglow, a lingering softness in the sky that fades slowly from amber to rose, then into deepening violet. The first stars appear, hesitant at first, then more confident as darkness spreads. The sea darkens, reflecting less light, becoming deeper, quieter. Its surface smooths, and the sound of waves grows more pronounced in the absence of daytime noise. Each wave arrives gently, touches the shore, withdraws. This rhythm has shaped lives for generations. Sitting near the water, an old man listens. He no longer fishes. His hands rest loosely in his lap, worn and scarred by years of rope and salt. But the sea still speaks to him. Tonight, as always, it speaks softly. Nearby, a young couple walk slowly along the beach, their conversation sparse. Words feel unnecessary here. The sound of footsteps in sand and the breathing of the sea fill the space between them. Farther inland, a temple stands quiet, its columns pale in the moonlight. No ceremonies take place tonight. The gods, too, seem content to rest. The air carries a faint scent of incense from earlier offerings, now almost gone. Night insects begin their chorus. Crickets call from hidden places. The village responds with silence. Inside homes, families finish their meals. Bowls are cleaned. Lamps are adjusted. Children are guided toward sleep, their eyes already heavy. Simple lullabies hum softly, blending with the distant surf. The world narrows. What remains is immediate and gentle, the flicker of flame, the warmth of stone, the steady presence of the sea beyond the walls. In ancient Greece, the evening is not a closing. It is a soft folding inward. A gathering of energy for another day. Outside, the stars multiply. The sky becomes vast again, reminding everyone of their place within something larger, something slow and enduring. The sea listens. The land listens. And the village rests between them. Full night has arrived. Moonlight stretches across the water in a broken silver path, trembling with each small movement of the sea. The shoreline is now a boundary between darkness and reflection, between what is seen and what is felt. Most of the village sleeps. Only a few lamps remain lit, their glow faint and steady. A watchful dog shifts position near a doorway. Somewhere, a late fire crackles softly, tended by hands that know the comfort of routine. The air is cool now, carrying the scent of salt and distant pine from the hills. The heat of the day is a memory, stored within stone and skin, slowly fading. Out on the water, a single boat rocks gently, tied to a wooden post. It will not move until morning. The sea accepts this stillness without protest. Above, the stars burn quietly, unconcerned with time. They have watched countless evenings like this, fishermen resting, villages sleeping, waves repeating their ancient song. In this moment, there is no empire, no philosophy, no future to plan. Only rest. The ancient Greek evening by the sea closes not with an ending, but with continuity. Night does not erase the day, it holds it, preserves it, prepares it to return. As the waves continue their slow breathing, the land, the village, and the sea exist in quiet agreement. And somewhere between sky and water, time pauses. Long enough for sleep to arrive gently. Long enough for peace to settle in. Full night has arrived. Moonlight stretches across the water in a broken silver path, trembling with each small movement of the sea. The shoreline is now a boundary between darkness and reflection, between what is seen and what is felt. Most of the village sleeps. Only a few lamps remain lit, their glow faint and steady. A watchful dog shifts position near a doorway. Somewhere, a late fire crackles softly, tended by hands that know the comfort of routine. The air is cool now, carrying the scent of salt and distant pine from the hills. The heat of the day is a memory, stored within stone and skin, slowly fading. Out on the water, a single boat rocks gently, tied to a wooden post. It will not move until morning. The sea accepts this stillness without protest. Above, the stars burn quietly, unconcerned with time. They have watched countless evenings like this, fishermen resting, villages sleeping, waves repeating their ancient song. In this moment, there is no empire, no philosophy, no future to plan. Only rest. The ancient Greek evening by the sea closes not with an ending, but with continuity. Night does not erase the day, it holds it, preserves it, prepares it to return. As the waves continue their slow breathing, the land, the village, and the sea exist in quiet agreement. And somewhere between sky and water, time pauses. Long enough for sleep to arrive gently. Long enough for peace to settle in. As the warmth of the afternoon slowly fades, a gentle stillness begins to settle over the ancient Greek landscape. The sun, once bright and commanding, now lowers itself toward the distant hills and the edge of the sea. Light softens. Colors deepen. Time itself seems to slow, as if the world is preparing for rest. In the countryside, olive groves grow quiet. The leaves no longer shimmer with harsh light but rest in muted silver and green. Cicadas, tireless through the heat of the day, begin to fade into silence. As darkness settles fully over the land, the ancient Greek night begins to reveal its true character. This is not a sudden transformation, but a gradual deepening, like a slow breath drawn inward. The sky grows darker by degrees, each moment softer than the last, until the horizon itself seems to dissolve into shadow. The stars multiply quietly. What began as a few points of light becomes a wide, patient expanse. Constellations take shape, not because anyone traces them, but because they have always been there. Orion rises. The Pleiades shimmer faintly. The Milky Way stretches like a pale ribbon across the sky, barely noticed yet always present. In the villages, sound diminishes further. Conversations end naturally, without final words. Laughter fades. Footsteps retreat indoors. The night does not silence people abruptly, it simply invites them to stop. Within stone houses, lamps burn steadily. Their light is low and warm, casting soft shadows that move gently with the flame. Walls glow faintly, revealing textures shaped by decades of touch. Clay vessels, wooden stools, woven baskets, each object rests in its familiar place, unchanged by the passing hours. People prepare for sleep slowly. There is no rush. No clocks measure time. The body knows when rest is needed, and the night offers no resistance. Some lie down early, their breathing evening out as the sounds of the day finally dissolve. Others remain awake a little longer, sitting quietly, listening to the world beyond the walls. The distant sea. The occasional call of a night bird. The soft whisper of wind moving through olive branches. Outside the villages, the countryside belongs fully to the night. Paths once bright under the sun are now pale lines barely visible beneath the stars. Stones release the last traces of warmth stored during the day. The air feels cooler, cleaner, lighter. In open fields, animals shift gently in their sleep. As the night advances, silence becomes more complete. It is not an absence of sound, but a harmony so gentle that each small noise feels perfectly placed. The distant sea continues its steady breathing. A soft wind moves through olive branches. Somewhere far away, a night bird calls once, then falls silent again. The stars overhead seem brighter now. With human activity fully at rest, the sky claims its space. The Milky Way stretches clearly from horizon to horizon, a pale and constant presence. No one maps it tonight. No one names it. It simply exists, vast and calm. Time feels different under such a sky. Without lamps or voices to mark the hours, moments drift freely. The ancient world is no longer measured by tasks or schedules, but by the slow movement of light across darkness. In the village, sleep deepens. Breathing becomes slow and steady behind stone walls. Bodies rest on simple beds of woven rope or straw-filled mats. Dreams come quietly, shaped by familiar landscapes, fields, water, stone, sky. Inside each home, the air holds warmth gathered from the day. Walls release it gradually, keeping the night gentle rather than cold. Even in sleep, the presence of stone offers reassurance, a sense of permanence that carries through generations. Beyond the village edge, paths disappear into darkness. They are no longer routes to be traveled, only memories traced by moonlight. Stones that guided feet during the day now lie undisturbed, unchanged. In higher places, where hills open toward the sky, the night feels expansive. There is no enclosure here, no sheltering walls. Only land beneath, stars above, and air moving freely between them. Shepherds who sleep in these places are accustomed to this openness. Wrapped in simple cloaks, they rest easily, trusting the rhythm of the night. The sea remains a constant companion to the darkness. Its surface reflects fragments of starlight, broken and reformed by gentle motion. The night reaches its deepest stillness in the hours before dawn. This is the quietest moment of the ancient world, when even the idea of movement seems distant. The land, the sea, and the sky exist together in a rare balance, undisturbed and complete. The stars remain steady overhead. They have crossed much of the sky now, though no one has noticed their passage. Time has moved without effort, without sound. Constellations slowly shift westward, maintaining their ancient paths, unchanged by human presence. In the village, sleep is at its deepest. Breathing is slow and even behind stone walls. Bodies rest fully now, free from the weight of the day. Dreams are soft and indistinct, shaped by familiar rhythms rather than images. Fields, waves, paths, and light blend together gently in the mind. Oil lamps burn low or have gone out completely. Darkness fills interior spaces, but it is not empty. It is full of warmth, of memory, of quiet reassurance. Stone walls hold steady, as they have for generations, offering shelter without asking anything in return. Outside, the night air is cool but kind. It carries the scent of salt from the sea and earth from the hills. Moisture settles lightly on stone steps and rooftops, forming a faint sheen that will soon catch the first hint of morning light. Along the shoreline, the sea continues its endless rhythm. Waves rise and fall with calm persistence, their sound unchanged through the hours. They do not grow louder in the darkness, nor do they fade. They simply remain, steady and familiar. The horizon is almost indistinguishable now. Sea and sky blend into a single expanse of darkness, broken only by faint reflections of stars on the water. Boats remain tied close to shore, unmoving, their presence felt more than seen. In the countryside, olive trees stand silently beneath the stars. Their leaves no longer move. The wind has stilled completely. Fields lie open and quiet, untouched by footsteps or voices.